Alrighty then. Pyrrho to Pyrrho. And anybody who likes to listen in to other people's private conversations. This is private. Go away. Right, where to begin? Right. Purposes. Let's begin with purposes. Yeah, I don't know whether you took offence. I think you just answering and talking about, and it was nice to hear you to have clarifications. You know, about you're not easygoing. You know, and reminding me, I did forget that element that is constantly there when you talk about your purposes, is that you do say, you know, you're not evangelizing and trying to recruit to the church of Pyrrho, and neither am I. You know, you propose all us other people are doing that. Now, yeah, some people actually are so absolutely sure they're right in so many issues that they think they should be the leader of a movement, and they actually and they want to be the leader and recruit people. But there is a third alternate explanation for why sorry, I've got breakfast still in my teeth. Brown flakes. There is a third, there's probably more, but this is mine, is I like helping a brother out. I've been watching some YouTube videos on how to gloss, because I haven't been gloss painting very well. And you know, if I walk past somebody in the street and they were painting and leaving brush marks like I was, and it's like, I was thinking, does it matter? Do I need to pay? Am I doing something wrong? Blah, blah, blah. You know, I'd say to him, hey, you see all those brush marks where you've left off? You have to pay a bit of attention to those and gently go over them, is what you're supposed to do. I used to do that all the time and glossed poorly, blah, blah, blah. Now, that's where I'm at. And I'm hoping to meet somebody. In actual fact, this is I'm not the church of painter and decorators now, and that if he turns to me and said, no, I've got a better system, I don't go, oh, look, my grandfather, he was a painter and decorator, my grandfather was a painter and decorator, I've researched this on the YouTube, blah, blah, blah. And he's going, but he knows all that, and he says, I don't know if this is like shite and work. He said, what I do way better is, after I've just sloppily gone, I got this heat gun and I just gently waft it with heat, and that disperses it and it makes a glass-like finish. And I go, oh, so I'm receptive to I got a better idea, or you're wrong, right? So that's my purpose, is I hope that somebody will help a brother out, me, if I'm wrong, and I'm out there trying to help other people, presuming that they want the truth and the errors. Yeah, I've lamented at this position with my sister, that sometimes it is frustrating to be this helpful guy or person, and because nearly everybody is this way, right? If I say to you, oh, I woke up, I've got this ingenious plan, and I start telling you for an invention, right? The act of communicating, the other person, in my experience, seems to hear, oh, I've got this plan, I'm not so sure about it, will you tell me what's wrong with it and why it won't work, because I don't want to waste my time with it. So the other person sets themselves up automatically in the in the adversarial role, and it can be problematic. You know, sometimes you want a bit of encouragement, sometimes what you really want is assistance to overcome the problems. Sometimes they're just wrong, usually, or not usually, just you know, that these things, with an idea like that, you know, if the idea is in principle good enough, those extra criticisms are just something to be overcome rather than the reasons not to. So I don't buy it. I actually just don't buy it. I'm not saying that you're lying, most definitely not, right? Because you say it consistently enough, and I don't think that's your nature. But what I say is it's questionable how well you know yourself, or how you know what generally goes on. Like you're bemused by these people who seemingly want to convert you, and it seems strange that we are morally suspect or ethically suspect in this conversion program. But I submit that most of us aren't trying to recruit to our church except to help you out, and that it naturally sets up this adversarial conflict in the dialectic. And so the idea that I make, say if I suffer some frustration that I don't think you've adequately treated some of the points, and I do at the minute think that, and I have done in the past. Here's me suffering a bit of frustration, thinking you've not adequately dealt with some of the points that I made and distinctions that I made. I wasn't very happy with that video, so I'm not too upset about it, because it's a half-hour video, and I understood that I was struggling for words at certain points, and I knew there was that a particular insightful phrase to explanation wasn't coming to me that I particularly liked. But nevertheless, I'm pretty sure distinctions were made and points were made and so on. Now, but the frustrating thing is if the purposes aren't right, if you're only in the business of collecting my opinion, well, why are you defending yours so strongly? Why do we move forward? This is part of my reasons for not buying it, so to speak, that I'm going to understand the workings of you from a different perspective, and maybe have an element of truth in my insight that you don't possess. Because I can't see how we'd have any hope of moving forward. And I wouldn't understand why you bother to tell me your opinion so forcefully and defend it. What is this? Seriously? I've been up an hour and a half. And no. Yes, you too. Early morning jaunt from this morning, because I've got to take my mother to a hospital, to eye clinic. I think she's having a procedure done. Anyway. So, yeah, so it's like, well, if you're just collecting my opinion, what's the point of me raising this issue? Look, you didn't deal with this point. It's like, I'm wasting my fucking time here. You're only collecting my opinion, and you're putting yours out there, but I'm not in the business of collecting your opinion. Really. what I want to know is where I'm wrong, in my opinion. Right, so on to the content. 10 minutes on purpose, and it is important. I told you, it potentially, if I begin to sort of say, you know, yeah, Pyrrho really is just about collecting my opinion. Huh? That's kind of an arrogance, really, because it's like you actually think you're so great in your positions, and that's what this is about. Is yeah, I know I'm right. I've worked all this out, and I'm just in the business of collecting your opinions. I mean, there's something deeply suspect in that story you give. Like I say, it questions your self-knowledge, knowledge of self. If that's what you think your purposes are in this, I don't buy it. I'd say that on a deep level, you're just like me and most other people trying to help a brother out. You know, like I put some work in here, and here's the formulation I've come up with. I want to share it with you because I want to help you out. Then you can have this insight too. And that's the way it is. That's the way of. That's rational dialectic outside of evangelism, to my mind. Right, no one with content, definitely. Right. The distinction and the insight I've had this morning listening to you and realizing that it could have been phrased this way between is quite bluntly circularity as a fallacy, as a reason to question your reasoning and conclusions, is a technical term. I'd hope you would agree. You've said it, you echoed it, but I think you twisted it. Yeah, you echoed that sentiment, except you couldn't and wouldn't adapt round the technical sense of circularity. You then went on to justify how, again, you're not really being circular because you distorted the technical sense of circularity. The technical sense of circularity in logic is about an argument, and it is about putting forward that argument that P1, your premise, and you could, it doesn't have to be P1, but one of your premises is actually the conclusion also, and that is circularity. End of. Go research it. There's right now. There's circularity as and circularity. There is a metaphor for the technical error of reasoning. Okay, but then there is literal circularity, and wherein it's about a journey, and you're confusing the two. Yeah, when I say it's history, what I could better say is you're talking about the journey of discovering knowledge. At the end of the day, I want you to put forward an argument, and I expect if we're to communicate knowledge and conclusions and justify them, I expect you to want me to put forward an argument. And the journey has nothing to do with arguments. That's a technical point that I'd hope you take on board and agree with. Thus, the apparent journey through, starting with some assumptions and blah 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 blah, it is, and this was the point I did make in the video, is I get it. You kind of arrive back, but it's a journey arrive back, not the technical logical criticism of making an argument by beginning with your premise, which then falls into your conclusion. So you just, to my mind, just wrong about that. Where is it? Come on. What have you got? Jimming it up. What have you got? You just biting your toenails. Me little jubbly sweeter is in the process of chewing up my watering hose outside. I should move it, but that's what they would have been fighting over, and play fighting is because they rip off a big piece and then they play tug of war with it outside. Right, so I've made this point a couple of times now, that in one sense I think we're in agreement that it's a scientific question. It's not brought confirmation that we're in agreement, and it's partially perhaps because I then say you seem to hint at this on the one hand by saying, you know, it's a feature in the material universe. But on the other hand, and like I say, the journey doesn't justify it to my mind, and the thinking that there's the journey is part of the argument, and to take a different journey, and the fact that you end up back to the same place is a reason to reject that journey, yeah, is to be confused, to be wrong-headed. So when you say, I believe it's a feature of the material universe, yeah, it's a feature of the matter itself, you said, the first-person experience, that is grossly hippy-dippy and you know, phantasmagorical to me, because it seems without justification. I know this justification you have of the journey, but that's, I've explained again, that's just wrong-headed to be limited by the journey. The question is what's the arguments, statements, premises and conclusions you're going to stand by? I don't care about how the journey. I just want to know, look, what's your premise? What's the entailment in the argument that leads to the conclusion? If that conclusion turns out to be one of your premises, then I'm going to say that's circular. I'm not saying you've done that. I'm saying that you're wrong-headed about the journey circularity. I did say that perhaps you could argue that the Descartes thought experiment was circular. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, and I often use the Descartes argument, and I've always assumed, like so many people do, for many times it's a succinct starting to one's epistemology. So that isn't meant. So who is circular? I've not actually accused you of being circular quite so strongly. Yeah, but what I have said is I'm not, on the basis that of the journey criticism that you point out is circular. Okay. But yeah, I mean, the idea that in some kind of way that the vibrating atom you know, is like, you know, getting buffeted about through kinetic theory of gas, and it's like, wow, I got hit then. Oh, I got blah, 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 blah. God, we're really at high pressure now because the temperature's up, and oh, this is calmer now. I'm experiencing cool gas state, you know, and it's like, oh, hey there, feller, bump you, you know. It's just that in some sense that is you know, that that the first person sense. I mean, I've argued for why the first person sense. I'm not going to really repeat those arguments. Yeah, I just pointing out to me still the preposterousness of this idea that this first person's perspective is atomic. Yeah, you chop it up into parts, and each part has a piece of first person perspective property. Yeah, that's it seems entirely ungrounded. Yeah, I mean, as for my argument for it being emergent, and that is other general principles lead to the apparent nature of it. Yeah, we both have similar understandings about emergence of properties and things. I think this is a property. Yeah, it's an emergent property, not a atomic piece, which you seem to suggest, and I don't find any evidence to support that in the discussion of properties. Yeah, the universe, in the universe exists beings which are capable of categorizing and identifying properties as categories, but all those properties are emergent phenomena from the basic laws of physics. Everywhere we look, we see that as the story. That's why I'm inclined to lean that way. And the idea that there's a fundamental first-personness based upon this history journey that you can't turn back. I mean, that's why one of the reasons I was unhappy about the last video is that certain parts I knew, because of really being unhappy with my mode of expression, that the concreteness and the firmness with what I was saying and the distinctions I was drawing might get blurred out over the length of the video. But there was a moment where I quoted a long sentence of yours, and I said quite clearly, no, that's just wrong. Yeah, and points like that in my purpose schema are points which need to be dealt with and identified and said, those are anchor points for us to help each other out. You know, in my paradigm, that's the way it's working. I can help this brother out here because he stood really firmly behind that and said why it was wrong. I could tell him why in actual fact he's wrong. Or you identify points like that and go, oh my God, the brother's helped me out there. Yeah, that was a silly statement. Yeah, I've changed my position. So, yeah, so this is where I'm wary of, you know, dialogues, any dialogues where we don't have, you can have different purposes, and as long as both purposes are served, then you can get along. But where the purposes cross and actually each person's purpose are not being fulfilled, that leads to problems.